Hello YouTube, it's my channel again, and it's gonna be another video in English, but real quick before I start, I'm gonna keep this video kind of short because I got shit I gotta do throughout the day, and I don't feel like recording 29-30 minute videos anymore because it drains the battery on my phone. But anyways, that's beside the point. I don't expect people to get many views on this channel, but it's important for me to vociferate my preoccupations and everything, and not in a pedantic way, but more so as to this is a phenomenon. True Force Loneliness has been a phenomenon that's been going on fairly less than a decade now, but I personally don't think True Force Loneliness is real per se, and I may contradict myself, but this is not what necessarily this video is about. This video is mainly going to be pertaining to overindulgence versus gratitude. And so you're probably thinking right now, what is overindulgence? I mean, we know what indulgence is. I mean, if you speak English, these fucking idiots, sorry. If you speak English, indulgence in the dictionary, indulgence is when you're lenient towards something, or you have a lot of an abundance of something. That's what it necessarily means. Now, we know in this society, overindulgence is fairly common, unfortunately, and overindulgence is a very common theme, a very common aspect in our society as a whole. And what a lot of people fail to understand is that overindulgence can lead to depression, anxiety, stress, and the worst thing is boredom. Overindulgence can also lead to ingratitude, a lack of motivation, a lack of self-preservation, and a lack of appreciation. Now, what does overindulgence necessarily have to do with my life? Because I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for other people. I mean, I could speak in a third-party perspective when it pertains to other people, but I can only speak for myself. What overindulgence necessarily is that when you have too much of something. And what we see in our society is we have way too much of the basic necessities. And you go look at other parts in the world, people don't have the basic shit that we have in this world as a society, right? So thus overindulgence becomes very commonplace. I mean, think about it. We can order anything we want on Amazon, have it the next day or less than 24 hours. We can order any type of food we want. We can go to the gym. We can get our medications at the pharmacy. We can get our beers, our weed. If you live in a state where marijuana is legal. And that's why we have a lot of the problems when it comes to overdosing and young people in their teens and 20s getting high and ODing on fentanyl and stuff, or getting their stomach pumped in the hospitals, because we have an extreme overindulgence. But we have a lack of spirituality. The United States, I would consider still to be the last bastion of Christianity, because we see Western Europe has been raped by atheism, secularization, and Muslims coming in. Muslims are actually more devout and religious than most Christians are in Western Europe, which is pretty sad in my opinion, but that's beside the point. The point is that the Bible, what is it, the Galatians, Book of Matthew, also Job 2, and in essence, overindulgence is a very dangerous thing. And the reason why atheism coincides with overindulgence is because once you are successful, instead of thanking the family members and friends that you have, instead of thanking God for giving you the strength, the wisdom, the sagacity and the determination for you to use your own free will to better yourself. Instead, you start blaming other people and you think you're God. And I notice a common thing with atheists is atheists do have a God complex. They still do believe in a type of God, but their God is, whether it be scientists, anthropologists, or like people like Seth MacFarlane, Ricky Gervais, George Carlin and whatnot, even though they're comedians. The point is that these men are all three rich white men who never had to work for anything in their damn lives. And they had the privilege to get shit without putting an ounce of elbow grease or breaking a sweat. So of course they're not going to be religious. Of course they're not going to thank God. Of course they're going to tell people to be like them because they believe themselves to be God. And point being is that overindulgence, we see that people are overindulging themselves on the telephones. I mean, even though I use my smartphone and stuff, I don't have social media on it. I only use it for like I said, for the necessities. If I'm talking to coworkers, family members, shit like that. But the thing is that with overindulgence leads to depression. It leads to a lack of spirituality. It leads to a lack of hobbies, and it leads to physical, mental, and spiritual decline in health. And that begins with ingratitude and a lack of appreciation. Why do you think in America and in Western European countries, everybody always bitches about how their food is not right? I mean, it's one thing if your food is not cooked or has a hair in it, okay? But if there's like a certain thing, like, you know, say for example, you wanted this on there, but then they put that on there instead and you get mad, it's like, let me tell you something. I know a bit about the Philippines. I know about Mexico. I've been to Mexico. I haven't been to the Philippines, but I know enough about the Philippines and Mexico to know that I don't want to go and visit those countries. And in the Philippines, it's dirt poor. People are dirt poor in the Philippines. There's Filipino food, but that's not Filipino food. That's Filipino cuisine. Filipino food is called bakbak. And bakbak, not pekbek, that's a bad word in Tagalog, but bakbak is literally trash. And there's literally tens of thousands of people in downtown Manila, kids, who have to eat from the freaking trash and cook it. Many of these people get E. coli, tapeworm, salmonella, food poisoning, and they die. But because the government is so poor and corrupt there that people, in the Philippines, you can't just go and get pain pills at a pharmacy. You can't just go to a grocery store. You can't go to movie theaters and get a popcorn and candy in the Philippines for the most part. You can't do that. And if you watch the documentary about Imelda Marcos, she even says herself when she goes to downtown Manila, she's throwing pesos out, and there's starving, emaciated children out there just picking up it like it's scraps, like when you give pieces of bread to birds or whatever. And it's really, not only is it an eye-opener, it really makes you see that that the reason why we have this big depression epidemic, we have this big drug, alcohol epidemic, and a pornography addiction is because people are overindulging on things. We have too much of a good thing, which is ridiculous, is because it's like, it should be a good thing that we have all our things. We should be grateful for all the serendipity that we have, for all the fortuitous and draconities and all the other type of beautiful, just miraculous things that we have in our society as a whole. But unfortunately, we see obesity. I mean, think about it. Like, nobody back in the Middle Ages, nobody back in the Roman times, 1800s, were dying of cancer. Nobody was getting type 2 diabetes and stuff. Like, nobody was putting insulin in their bodies. Like, come on, man. Like, we need to understand that overindulgence has destroyed our society. And overindulgence also delves into politics too, but I don't really want to get into that. But the point is that that's why there's a lack of social connections. And true force loneliness, when I say I don't necessarily believe true force loneliness is real per se, is because it's a fairly new phenomenon, a fairly new concept that has been created because of the 7 deadly sins. And the 7 deadly sins have been propagated by a lack of appreciation, a lack of value of human spirituality, the decline and religious and Christian values over secularization and atheism. The devil said the greatest lie the devil told us is that I didn't exist. And unfortunately, that's what's been going on. People are equating their horrible, terrible experiences that they have, and they're blaming it on God. People say, where was God when this happened? Where was God when that happened? But people fail to realize this is that why don't we as human beings stop letting bad things happen? Why do we keep letting war, genocide, crime, and financial decay keep transpiring? I mean, for all the medical advances in technology, COVID still happened. N1H1 still happened. Ebola still happened. HIV happened. HPV. But think about it. Less than 100 years ago, none of these STDs existed. I mean, of course, there was syphilis, which plagued many Europeans during the colonization, but it wasn't nearly as bad as the AIDS epidemic that happened. Point is, overindulgence has led to a lack of spirituality, and we as human beings, we're seeing it firsthand. I mean, go to a coffee shop, go to Starbucks, go to a Better Buzz Cafe, go to your local coffee shop. I bet you $1,000 that anybody who's under the age of 25 is going to be playing on their phones, on their laptops, doing quote-unquote schoolwork, which yesterday, I saw this dude. He was maybe my age, mid-20s, and he had 2 nice hot young honeys with him. 2 nice, hot, tight, petite honeys. And they're all just playing on their phones. This motherfucker had like his phone out, an iPad, and a laptop out. And I'm thinking, like, dude, if I had a nice pair, I don't know their situation, but I don't know the relationship he is with, but he was being a little bit affectionate with them. But point is if I had a pair of hot honeys with me, I wouldn't be playing on my phone sitting at no goddamn fucking coffee shop. What I would be doing is, in the morning, we'd be drinking a cup of coffee together, and she'd be wearing my big baggy t-shirt as clothing, nothing else on. That's what she'd be wearing. But unfortunately, guys like me who have a lack of social connections, who try to make social connections with people, we always fall flat, we always fall short, is because this social media technology overindulgence epidemic that has plagued the United States and the Western world has really created true force loneliness. True force loneliness never existed, but now, unfortunately, it's a phenomenon that is becoming true because we human beings are using our free will to commit sin, and we don't even know it. And true force loneliness, like what Heated Succeed said in a podcast many years ago, it's all based on lust. It's all based on illogicality. And if we as a society allow true forced loneliness, if we allow the lack of social connections, if we allow this depression epidemic to continue, then we have truly failed in a modern society. In the so-called modernized secular society, we have failed. And now, I'm not saying that you should give up, because giving up is the last thing you should do. You know, you can't, I mean, there's things that you need to move on. There's a difference between giving up and moving on from something. Giving up is where you completely surrender, you completely capitulate. But moving on is when you say, hey, I have to move on from this situation. Now, that does sound like MGTOW, but like what Heat and Succeed said, I don't like to use MGTOW because that's a label. And in the end of the day, I'm not a man who likes to put labels on me, you know. But I do agree with MGTOW in the sense that there's things that are out of your control and you have to move on and you have to better yourself as a man. And you can't let the negativity get to you, because 2025 is coming up real soon. And what has me being negative, what has me being depressed got me? I used to be atheist for like, I think almost 2.5 years. And I really felt that, well, not felt, I knew that I was dying spiritually, physically I was still alive, but spiritually I was dying deep down inside. Now, I know that when I pray to God, I don't pray to God for him to give me nothing. Because when you pray, prayer, and I'm not saying that I'm a big Bible-toting guy and I know the Bible off the back of my hand, but I do know that if you grew up as a Christian, you grew up in a Catholic household, you grew up with the religious backdrop, you know what's right and what's wrong. And what is completely wrong is denying yourself of your spirituality. Because people, they say, if God is real, then prove it. I don't have to prove it. The proof is already there. Everything that we see, touch, breathe, feel, all the good, the bad, the yin and the yang, the completely abhorrent, the complete malevolence and benevolence of the society is proof that God and the devil exist. Is proof that heaven and hell exists. And they've always existed. And the reason why you can't see it or feel it is because the reason why people can't see or feel it is because this life that we're given to is the only life that God has given us. And what we do with this life determines what happens in the afterlife. So rather than trying to keep thinking about something to where if God is real, then how come this and this and that and that and that? Why don't you as a human being say, what am I going to do to better myself so I can be good, not in the eyes of God, but for my family and my friends, and to better my soul? Because that's how it was in the Middle Ages. Everybody, if you watch documentaries, if you read about the Middle Ages, the medieval period, every day in life was a battle, a spiritual battle, a spiritual journey of enlightenment. And we've lost that spirituality. And I know everybody's a hypocrite. Nobody can be perfect. And I don't want to be perfect. I want to be me. I want to perfect my life, but I don't want to be 100% perfect, because it's impossible to be 100% perfect. And that's really what this video is. This video is talking about how you need to escape from the indulgences. And when it comes to when it comes to like pornography and stuff like that, I understand you're a man and you have urges, so I'm not going to knock you on that, but I'm going to say is be very careful when it comes to that, because I've been battling with the pornography addiction for a very long time and I always fall back into it. But recently, this past week, I believe so, I've really just distanced myself, not just from pornography, but looking at hot babes that I know, or just looking at pictures of women in licentious and lascive clothing as a result of the fact that I don't want to be a hypocrite. The worst thing that a man can be is a hypocrite. Because when you're a hypocrite, not only do you fail in the betterment of yourself, but you also dishonor your family members, your friends, your co-workers, and you leave an everlasting lineage and legacy of opprobrium. And you can't give up. Hypocrisy is the form of capitulation, is a form of giving up. Look at I don't know if lots of people keep in tune with Latin American culture, but there's a Colombian American senior named Soraya. She unfortunately passed away, I think, in 2006 of stage 4 breast cancer, and it was hereditary. Now, I don't know the full story about her, but I will say that she still, from her music and her personality, from what I perceived, she never lost her faith in God. She kept performing. She even was nominated for a Latin Grammy. And she still performed until her dying days. Even when she was sick with chemotherapy, she still fought tooth and nail. She didn't give up. And that's a testament. She knew, because her mother, her aunt, and her grandmother, they all had it hereditary. And they're probably thinking like, well, why didn't they blame God? Why didn't they just lose their faith? Like, what's the point? But it's like, people in journeys in life, people get dealt the bad hand. And of course we all want God to be able to fix something. We want things to be fixed for us, but sometimes things can't be fixed. And when you're in a situation to where you have stage 4 cancer, or if you're sick and you're dying and you know that it's your time to go, that's when it's the opportunity for you to step up and to fight tooth and nail and to say, what I have left on this earth, what am I going to do? And I've had medical instances, thank God it was nothing that serious, but I've had medical instances less than 3 years ago. I'm not going to get into it, but the point is that I was very terrified for my health. I really was. I had anxiety, stress, depression, and I was able to fix it all. And yet I still am upset about how come I don't have a girlfriend, how come I'm still a virgin, how come I'm this and that. I'm thinking like, well, look at all the things that I've accomplished so far. I mean, I literally taught myself Castilian Spanish, and now I'm like 85% fluent in early modern, late medieval Spanish. That's one of my hobbies. I mean, I've always taught myself history. You know, I know so much about history, and this isn't me being vainglorious or pretentious. This is a fact. This is things to be grateful for. And like I say, you know, it's like, what does being grateful really mean? Does being grateful, is it just when they say just be grateful, shut your mouth, as like in a very derogatory, pejorative sense, to silence you? No, it's look at all the things that you're all grateful for. Look at the things that you got. Because imagine living in the Philippines, imagine living in Mexico, where the cartels control everything. I mean, in Mexico, you get Moctezuma's revenge. You get E. coli because they don't have clean water. He Didn't Succeed said in a video about Cuba. In Cuba, they don't have access to the internet. They have rations because they live under communism. While in America, we can literally go to the store, we can literally go to McDonald's and get whatever the fuck we want. That's crazy right there. Now, of course, in life, you're gonna have depression, you're gonna have things. Hold on. This people walking. Don't want to get in an accident. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of things in life that are going to unfortunately derail you as a man. But what you have to do is you have to understand that you can't let these things derail you. Like, simple overindulgence is checking out a girl that's hot. In the Bible, it says, Jesus said that if you look at a woman and if you look at her with lust, you've already committed adultery in your heart. And the reason why he said that is, yeah, sorry, my video got cut out, so this is gonna be a part 2 because I really don't feel like doing a bunch of bullshit editing. But what I'm gonna say, basically, just to finish what I'm saying, is that a relationship should be based on love, companionship, trust, and how you want to start a family and you want to start kids, marriage especially. But really, that's what I wanted to say. But my phone got jacked up. But I'm gonna end this video. What's this motherfucker doing? Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up. Point being is that overindulgence is a very bad thing in our society, and you really have to understand what you want to put in your life spiritually before you pursue anything. Think about how it's going to benefit you, mind, body, and soul. That's what it is. How it's going to benefit you, mind, body, and soul. That's what it all boils down to. But I got shit I gotta do. I'm gonna end this video here. This is a part 2. I don't feel like doing editing and putting this video back in the other one because I'm recording on my phone. But anyways, peace.